G'day everyone, it's SDS Supercoach, providing Supercoach content for you. You can check me out on Twitter at Stephen D.W. Smith and also on Instagram at SDS_Supercoach_YT. Now, heading into round two time. So I'm just going to go over what I'm thinking for now as a series is I'm going to look at the most traded in and out players from my team and not my team, and I'll just review what I personally think of them. And also, I'll just give you some tips as well and how I'm going to set out my team. So, yeah, so we'll look at most traded in players not in my team. Nick Martin, he's certainly a must bring in at some point, whether it's this round or next round. Doesn't he just look good as a potential prospect for Essendon? He wasn't even on the list when they played the Western Bulldogs practice game, and he got in the side, and yeah, he looks very good, and yeah, certainly someone that you should consider bringing in if you haven't got him. Matt Rowell is another player that if you haven't got, I'd certainly look to bring in. He's just, I picked him. It was funny. I picked him last year at 500k, and with a bit of an interrupted preseason, but yet I passed on him this time. 340k with a full preseason. So I don't know what the thought process was there, but I think Rowell, just his contested game looks fantastic. Sure his uncontested game, isn't as strong compared to how it was in 2020 when he first started out. But yeah, he just looks like an absolute bull. So we all thought he got concussed when Willie Rioli got his ass into his head and got on the floor a bit. Jared Harbrow, Jordan Lewis-esque. But yeah, Brow will certainly bounced up from that, and you can see how tough he is as a person. Dan Houston, actually, yeah, I'm not sure about Houston. He's moving back he's getting some stoppages, and he certainly took advantage of that on Saturday night. Is he one to bring in over someone like, maybe a Sicily if you haven't got him, or a Hewitt? I'm not too sure. I think there's better options out there. So I wouldn't jump on Houston. Christian Petrarca, he's certainly going to go up in price, isn't he? So, I mean, he could be an early upgrade if you want him to, but, if Steele has another shocker this week, then, you can downgrade him if you want. I personally won't be doing that. But Petrarca is certainly a player where I think he'll have ups and downs throughout the year, and I think you'll be able to get him at a cheaper price than 606k. And Patrick Lipinski, he's finally getting some opportunity in the guts, and he's taken advantage of it, and he just looks very good. Now, I don't think many people picked him because he was having a few ankle concerns heading into round one. I think that was from a practice game where he got a bit injured, but yeah, Lipinski, I can see why people are jumping on him, but I've got bigger fish to fry, aka bringing in Matt Rowell, than worrying about Lipinski. Most traded players out in my team, we've got Josh Ward. I was a bit harsh on him yesterday. I think we saw in that practice game that his potential as a scorer is still very good. We saw in the very first practice game against Collingwood that he was just finding his feet a bit, and then the actual practice game against Richmond, he certainly looked a lot more at home, and maybe that'll be the same thing this week against Port Adelaide, where he was just finding his feet round one, and then he goes berserk. But we'll have to see how his role is. He got in a few CBAs, but wasn't crazy. So I think I'd hold him actually after saying that he'd be the one to go yesterday. Jack Crisp. My number one rule is to not jump off premiums, especially in round one. You need more of a sample size, I think, if you've got 2 rounds to see what the go is with everyone. So I wouldn't be jumping off Crisp or Steele or Whitfield. I just think that's madness. Round one, you got to keep the faith and see how they go round two, see if they can bounce back or they look better. So I think Crisp He's certainly a player that I could see myself getting rid of after round 2 if he puts in another disappointing performance, especially against the Crows, who aren't the strongest team in the world. So, yeah, I think getting rid of Crisp now, I wouldn't do it. Jack Steele, certainly disappointed this week, but I think this is a very rare type of game for Jack Steele where, he has the odd 90, 80 score throughout the year, 3 or 4 times a year, and then most other occasions he does well. The disappointing part is if you started him, he's going to go down in price. Everyone's going to get him much cheaper. But once again, don't trade premiums round 1. And look, I think even with Steele, I'm still not going to trade him after round 2, even if he has another shocker. Sam De Koning, I don't like this at all for people getting rid of him. I think De Koning, obviously he's going to miss a week, but who are you going to bring in? Well, actually, there's one player in mind that I'll bring up who could come in, but I still wouldn't move from De Koning. He'll be a slow burner. Hope people don't think that he's going to be a crazy scorer. I think if he can get around 250, I think that's a decent result. I think 120k, that's actually 130k. That's a pretty good result, actually. Lockie Whitfield, everyone owns him, and once again, I think he'll pay. He's certainly more of a case to get rid of Crisp than Whitfield at the minute. I just think Whitfield. It was just one of the games that just didn't suit him, so I think he's more confident. I'm more confident about Whitfield bouncing back. So for some other blokes now, I think Josh Sin and Sam Skinner. Sam Skinner is going to be. I'll talk about Sam Skinner for a bit actually. With Alir out and Trent McKenzie out for a few weeks, I don't know what the go is with Tom Cleary, but I think he's still injured. So Sam Skinner might have the reins for quite a bit down back for Port. And that might be the answer that we needed down back as a rookie that we could potentially worry about round 3. So as you can see, the defender rookies are really slim. You got Hinge, McCartan, Gibcus, De Koning. I think they're the main 4. I can't think of any else off the top of my head. But then you've also got Sin that might come in this week with the amount of injuries Port Adelaide have at the minute. And he's certainly, and Ken Hinkley said that he's certainly going to be a bloke that's going to get an early season debut, even if it wasn't round 1. So I'm very happy to have him, and that's one less trade to worry about. He was my DPP for a week, and now we've certainly got potentially a couple of other more options. So I think Skinner we can worry about round 3 to bring him in. I'm that confident that we're going to need him. I'd probably downgrade him to Gibcus if I had to predict, or Hinge, but we'll wait and see. But Skinner, he's going to look like a good option. And another news on West Coast, they're getting there's 7 blokes that could play this week back into the team. And isn't that handy? Well, for West Coast, but not for us, because that could mean big trouble for Hugh Dixon and Brady Hoff. More concerned about Hoff for it than I am Dixon. If Dixon's my R3 for the year, I don't mind. He can be my VC loophole for the year. That's okay. I don't really care if the third ruck plays. But Brady Hoff certainly concerns me if he's going to stay in the side. I probably should have done a bit more research on him. I just thought he was more ready-made for West Coast. Maybe I'm probably confusing him to Greg Clark, but I don't know. For some reason, I just thought he was more ready to go, but obviously not. And also Witherden back from suspension this week will certainly hurt Hoff. So yeah, I'll talk about my trade plans this week and in the future. But yeah, I think that's all the news at the minute. So Fife and Darcy are touch and go for this week. But yeah, okay, so this is how I'm going to set up my side for round 2. This will probably be my last video until my round review on Sunday. I'm going to try to do on Sunday. The reason I didn't do it on Sunday was because I didn't have a computer. So I'll try to do them Sunday night. And yeah, so let me just, all right. So this is how I had my team as ready to go for round one. That's how I had it. So let me just switch this around. So Sin, I think, is going to play, actually. So I think I'm going to bench Ward. I think I'm also actually, I'll do my trade now. I'm actually going to do one trade because I said in yesterday's video, I'm worried that I'm going to have to make more than 2 correctional trades if I don't make a trade this week, which I don't want to do. Don't want to use a trade boost. So I'm going to make one this week, and it's going to be at the expense of Brady Hoff. I think he could be a casualty from all these West Coast blokes coming back. And I don't think it's going to be a crazy, there's not going to be a crazy cash generation potential for him. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me just move Brody into the midfield so I can select Nick Martin. I just want to get this one out of the way. I think regardless, he's going to make money. So I'm happy with that. Complete the trade. Boom. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Nick Martin comes into the side. I don't like bringing in rookies unless it's a 2-game sample size for their price generation, but I just think Martin's guaranteed to be in that side for a while. Jack Hayes, we'll keep Dixon at R3 for hopefully for the rest of the year. I'm going to put the emergent. I think I'm going to pick Martin over Hayes because I think Martin, even in a spanking against Geelong, still scored very well. And he was really one of the only blokes at Essendon this week that showed a bit of heart. So, and if Ryder comes back for St Kilda, I've got no idea how that dynamic's going to work with Hayes, Marshall, and Ryder. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So I just want to wait and see. So I think Martin, is more of a safer choice. Does concern me that he kicked 5 goals, 27 touches, and it's not an only, but he scored 114. That sounds like 130 plus type score. So that does concern me a tad, but we'll see how we go. I think he's a very good scoring rookie. Okay, so now that means Will Brodie is in the midfield. I'm going to have the captain on Tuke Miller. Actually, I'm going to have the emergency on Josh Sin. I think he could score better than Ward this week. I think Tuke Miller against Melbourne. Yeah, there's not an ideal matchup. I mean, the ideal matchup actually is McRae against the Blues with maybe no Bontempelli. Liberatore's been pushed out of that midfield. Treloar can't play in the guts. So, it could be the McRae and Dunkley show. If you want to go with a bit of a differential, Dunkley as a vice captain could be very cheeky. He could outscore McRae, but I'm just playing it safe. Maybe I've played it too safe so far this season. And then if that doesn't work, well, obviously I'll put the C on De Conning to get McRae's score. If he scores, my rule's about 125 plus. I think you could convince me about 124, 123. I think less than that. I think I like to have a crack at Turk or whatnot. Maybe Neil against Brisbane could be cheeky. But yeah, Sin's emergency. And look, that's how I'd probably set it up. De Conning would come on and I'd put the emergency on McCartan if McRae scores well enough. But I think that's how I like to set it up for this week. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to go too crazy with just overthinking things. I am a bit with thinking that I'm going to need two or more trades for round 2, for heading into round 3. So that's why I've gone early on Nick Martin. So I said that in the video yesterday that I was going to do that, or I was thinking of doing that. So, yep, there you go. Yeah, so should be a good round of footy. I think Supercoach-wise, yeah, I don't want to overreact. There's a heap happening just with, the me needing to bring in Rowell. So yeah, I'll finally just talk about my round 2 plans. If Crisp has a shocker, he's gone to maybe someone like a Sicily, Jordan Dawson. It has to be a downgrade, I reckon, in my eyes. So I think those two I'm keeping in mind of. Brody could be a casualty for Rowell. I said in yesterday's video that I just don't like Brody as a pick, and yet I still picked him over Sherry, which is haunting me quite a bit. So he could be gone. And look, that's how I'm probably thinking at the minute. So yeah, that's what I'm doing for my side. And hope you have a good round of footy. Hope your footy side wins. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be grass. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.